Good morning, everyone. Welcome to SATE 2016. I'm Steve Birket, president of the TEA. I can tell you that we've got a couple of very exciting days for you planned. I can tell you that the TEA is in the best shape that it has ever been in. We've got, because of the many great relationships that are here in our industry and here in this room, the many, the academic institutions, the membership, the owner-operators, the sponsors, that by any metric that you want to name, the TEA is just in wonderful shape. This past year, we've had the opportunity to have new opportunities from places we've never been to. We're kind of at new shores these days, geographically new shores, and within the industry at new places. So it is just the best time ever to be at the TEA. Isn't this a wonderful space? Isn't it great to be in New York City? Woo! Thank you so much for being here. I have a couple people that I'd like to thank. I'll try to be really quick. Our wonderful chairs who made this, the curators and creators of today's event, Traci Klainer from the Luce Group, Chris Conte from Electrosonic, and Michael Blau from Adirondack Scenic. Thank you so much. Our wonderful Chief Operating Officer, Jennie Nevin, and producer for this event, Tammy Richards, and our hardworking Burbank-based TEA staff. I would like to thank the many board members and committee members from our many divisions and committees that make the wheels of the TEA turn. If you are on a TEA committee or a division board, if you could raise your hand, these are the folks that make the wheels turn. When you see them, shake their hand, tell them thank you, and ask them about the many programs of the TEA. Our Asia Pacific division, our Eastern North American division, our Western North American division, our European and Middle Eastern division, and our finance and educational marketing membership and next-gen committees. The great volunteer effort from these folks makes the TEA happen. Thank you so much. I'd like to acknowledge some folks that are in the house that we're very glad they're here. Helen Lee from the Beijing-based Goyon Cultural and Media Company. Thank you for being here. Dr. Catherine Woodcock from Ryerson College. Bud Coleman, the chair of the theater and dance department at University of Colorado at Boulder. Peter Weishar from Florida State University, Dean of the Fine Arts. And Senior Executive Vice President Steve Blum from Universal Creative. Thank you so much for being here. Jennie Nevin.
It is so exciting to be here in New York. What an epic moment for TEA. We're so excited to be in the city, in this bustling energy, and in the theater district itself to have our SATE conference this year. Like Steve was saying, there just really hasn't been a more exciting time for TEA. We've expanded worldwide now to 1,350 company members and 10,000 people worldwide that we're serving. We've had adventures in China and Dubai, and we've expanded in Europe. We're actually really having an amazing, amazing time. We have more events than ever, and it's just been an adventure, a journey. It's exciting. So what I want to do is I want to take the time to thank our sponsors for today. Our presenting sponsor for SATE, Brogent Technologies. Our event sponsors, Barco, McCann Systems, Chicago Scenic Studios, and USITT, and our app sponsor, X Studios, and Christie, our projection sponsor. And then also our global partners, who really we couldn't do all of this without, and we're so grateful for their loyal support. Walt Disney Imagineering, Universal Creative, Christie, SeaWorld Parks and Entertainment, the Hedema Group, Chimelong, and JBA Artistic Engineering. Thank you.
So, Michael, Traci, Chris.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Michael Blau. I am a vice president at Adirondack Studios. I am also a vice president of the Eastern Division. I stepped down this year, and Adirondack Studios is a global sponsor for TEA.
I'm Traci Klainer. I have a new position, if you know me. I'm actually the executive director of Luce. We just became part of JBA Engineers, and I am an international board member, a former Eastern Board president and an Eastern Board member, and my company does lighting design for themed entertainment, museums, live events, and architecture.
And hello, everybody. My name is Chris Conte, and I'm Vice President of Business Development at Electrosonic. We are a technology company, audiovisual. We've worked on many projects that all of you have, of course. And I served on the board for 3 years. And it's an absolute pleasure to be a part of the TEA and part of this conference.
Great. So I want to tell you a little bit about the theme. And I want you to imagine that you're on one side of a canyon. It's dry, arid desert, and the other side is a lush green garden. And the only way, you have to go from point A to point B. The only way to get across is a thin wire, a cable that you have to follow. Now, what does that mean? What do you need to do to go from point A to point B? There are challenges. There are things like engineering. There's technical knowledge. There's fear of falling. There's balance that's needed. You need to work with others to create the pathway across. As you're going across, let's assume that you get the wire strung, everything is perfect. You get halfway through, you're in the middle. There's a decision point that needs to be made. The decision point is, do I go back? Do I forward? Or do I go down? So you're in the middle, you've got your little tiny umbrella, and your umbrella falls. You lose your balance just a little bit. Maybe you've got a balancing bar. And your balancing bar, a pigeon lands on it, and you start to teeter, and you start to fall. You've got to make a split-second decision. Do I go? Do I stay for as long as I can? Do I go back or down? Now, if you've prepared, you've got a safety net below you. So when you fall, you're okay. So the conference today is really about that path that we take to create experience. It's the same thing. You need balance as you go forward. You want to get to the other lush side, to point B. You want to be successful. You need people to help you. You need to be collaborative. You need to have balance. And the way that we looked at the conference for today and tomorrow is, how do we achieve that? What are the things that we need to know and do and feel to get across? Now, there's tension. There's tension in yourself. There's tension as you're going across. There's tension by the observers, the guests. You want to create that tension. There's also tension in the wire. And if it's not taught perfectly, there's too much slack and you can fall. So the next couple days, we're going to explore how to make that tension be just the right amount. How all of these pieces fit together to create experience. And the type of risk that you need to take to make great experiences to get to the other side. So, why are we in New York? Why is New York good for this theme?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that I'm thrilled that you are all here in my hometown. And I think it was a huge risk for TEA to actually come to New York. And so I'm really excited. And I feel like I have my safety net, Michael, because I need my notes even though I live here. New York City is a city of opportunities and risks. And we really tried to capitalize on this. New York, if you are first-timers or if you're a New Yorker, you know that New York has a really specific energy and pace, and it's not like anywhere else in the world. We're always kind of on fast forward. And so we really tried to pull from all the different resources that are typical to New York, museums, theater, technology, stuff that's really specific to here. So you're going to get the opportunity to hear a lot of speakers that maybe you haven't heard speak for TEA before. So this is really exciting for me, and I hope that you feel like coming here, and you should take some risks being here.
So we had an opportunity to find segment chairs that kind of matched this theme, that could really find speakers that really highlighted what we're trying to get across. And when we first had our first meeting, it was really exciting because we had a group of professionals that had their own discipline, but they spoke passionately about the other disciplines, and they spoke passionately about experience. And we thought, well, maybe the format shouldn't just be SATE, have it SAT, highlight and enhance the program on SAT, Storytelling, Architecture, and Technology, which is really all about experience. So we're really thrilled to introduce our panel this year, our segment chairs this year, a team of true professionals And we're very thrilled to have them here.
So we have Paul Osterhout, who's the Senior Director, Executive Producer at Universal Creative, and he's our Storytelling Chair.
We've got Deanna Siller. She is actually a principal at Gensler. What you're seeing on the screen is incorrect. So principal at Gensler, and she is our architecture chair.
And then we have Chris Manson, who's a technical director, technical designer with Fox & Crow. Chris has been in the industry for many years and have accomplished great things in the industry. So we're very proud to have all three of them here. So before we begin, we're going to talk just briefly about demography. There are still 6 amazing generations. These are the people we design for. This is the audience that we actually designed our attractions for. Of course, the first generation, or the GI generation, called the greatest generation, really was a moniker that was started by Tom Brokaw in his book in 1998 called The Greatest Generation. They didn't have radio or TV or airplanes in their time. They kind of had a reputation of the good kid syndrome. They were the first teenagers. Believe it or not, teenagers was termed during their period. They founded Boy Scouts, they founded Girl Scouts, but they lived through very, very promising times in the turn of the century. Next, the silent generation. Silent generation appeared in 1951 in an essay in Time magazine. It really referred to the McCarthy era where this generation had remained silent. They were known, as opposed to their previous generation, who were squeaky clean, they were a little more rebellious. This drove them to be more ambitious towards their status, and as a result, their status defined them. Then, the boomers. We all know where the boomers came from. After World War II, soldiers returned, and a big boom of babies came around. Boomers are typically self-righteous, self-centered. They're the first TV generation. Are there boomers out there laughing? They tend to be more positive about authority, about government, and about tradition. Gen X, my generation, Traci's generation, Michael's generation. The term Gen X can be traced back to the 1950s, and it was really referred to as a generation of young people whose future was a little uncertain. They were also called the slacker generation. I know this to be true because Linda Ham calls me that at least once a week. Believe it or not, they're the latchkey generation. It's when both parents started to work and they were left on their own, but it gave them a little more street smarts. They're late to marry, early to divorce. They want what they want, and they want it now. The problem is they can't afford it, so they use credit.
I don't know if I believe this.
I actually do believe this. I am living proof of this. Maybe it's the difference between our ages, just a little bit of...
Then there's the world-famous millennials. We've all heard about the millennials. This term came from Neil Howe in his book called Generations. Interestingly enough, millennials surpassed the boomers in 2016. That's the largest generation. So they're a big group to deal with. They've been told over and over again how special they are and that the world should treat them that way. They expect the world to treat them that way. They are all about technology, but more interestingly enough, they saw technology go social. As a result, they like to post everything about themselves to the world to see. They always share their posts broadly, even though they find the world scary. And then finally, the founders, Gen Z, 2001 and up. This actually comes from the West Coast startup culture, right? But more importantly, it affirms that in their life, creativity is essential. They don't like Facebook, they despise it, but they adapted forms like Snapchat, where their content disappears quickly. So they want to post, they just don't want to post it forever. This generation is more connected than anybody else. They have never known a world without computers or cell phones. And they believe they can be famous overnight. An interesting one. They're the worst at multitasking, but the best at task switching. And they're also called FOMO, fear of missing out. They suffer from eco-fatigue, and they're actually tired of hearing about the environment and how to solve it. So it's kind of a quick snapshot of the generations we're actually designing for. And as we go through the next 2 days, let's consider our demography. Let's consider who we're actually designing for. You can see from these examples, it's a broad array of their attitudes, their cultural attitudes, their attitudes about government, about interactivity. The first generation loved the linear format, storytelling, the arc. This generation, they want to engage. So it's a broad array of considerations we have to take when we're making decisions about risk and design. So let's begin. Thank you.